Alright, hey, welcome back to TheEndStep.com. This is Adam from TheEndStep. We're doing Modern this week, so it's pretty cool to get the good cards out and put those lame standard cards aside. I'm playing a green-black rock deck, which is playing Varolz and Death Shadow. Living the dream of scavenging at 13 for 13 for 1 mana seems pretty good. We're going to see if we can make it work. So basically, we're a green-black good stuff deck, playing the best threats in those colors and the best discard, with Liliana and a Sword of Light and Shadow as the top end. So I'll just run through quickly most of the cards, but most of them you guys should know and seen before. Deathrite Shaman, obviously amazing in any format with fetch lands. This being one of them. Both modes quite relevant in Modern. Just does a ton of work. Death Shadow is the cute card. We'll see if it works. We have a lot of stuff to pay life with, so we can actually cast him and have a decent creature too. Between the Thoughtseizes, 8 fetch lands, and the Dismembers, we can just purposely pay life for the Dismembers. And then everybody's favorite Dark Confidant will do his work in killing us as well. Followed by Tarmogoyf. Varolz seems pretty good, and then a 1-of Thrun, just as one of the better high-end threats. Very difficult to kill, very good against Jund, which is a big deck, even though it has 4 colors. Still is traditionally Jund, but they have a problem dealing with this guy. The only main way they deal with it is with their own Liliana, which we have ways to deal with between discard, the removal suite between Pulse and Abrupt Decay, and then just having more guys to sack instead of the Thrun. The full 4 Thoughtseize, just because it's the bestest card, but we also want to hurt ourselves because of Death Shadow. It really solves a lot of problems against problematic matchups. Allows you to take any relevant card. Abrupt Decay and Pulse, like I said, they just hit pretty much everything. I'm doing the split because there's plenty of threats that Abrupt Decay doesn't hit that Pulse takes care of. And then Lingering Souls still sees a lot of play, and it's one of the better answers to Tarmogoyf because they just have a bunch of blockers, whereas you can Pulse a bunch of their blockers out of the way, and Goyf gets in there. The Sword of Light and Shadow is the other reason for Lingering Souls to alleviate that problem, because sword up a Goyf, and that's a ridiculous amount of fun. Gets right past those Lingering Souls. Dismember as your catch-all removal for the creature matchups. Looks like it's going to be pretty stone cold awful in today's matchup, but we'll have some sideboard changes after. Because we're only a 2-color deck in a format that plays a ton of colors, we're only running 22 lands, and we can run a full 4 Treetop Village. So we get a nice resilient threat against decks that like to sweep us. It's very good against decks like James today with Pyroclasm, because as you know, I have plenty of good things to kill with Pyroclasm, so having a Treetop Village where I can continually get in there for 3 is pretty good. Playing 8 fetch lands to turn on Deathrite Shaman pretty regularly. They also kill me, which is relevant. That's about it. This style of deck is one of my favorites. I like the early discard, play a threat, and get there to victory kind of decks. It's always been one of my favorites. So we'll see how this version does. The Death Shadow might end just being too cute, and I'll switch the deck around, and it could just be like some Kitchen Finks and less Dismembers, less Thoughtseize, a little more traditional spell mix. But the core seems fun. We'll pause and see what the sideboard has. All right, here we have the sideboard for green-black rock. We have a transitionary sideboard where we can kind of take away some of our painful spells and against the more aggressive decks like Zoo and Robots, and we can bring in Kitchen Finks, get rid of Death Shadow, get rid of some of the Dismembers and the Thoughtseize, and then bring in Finks, Disfigure, the Obstinate Baloth, and Thrun, and then Inquisition if we need it. So we can kind of go away from that kill ourselves plan against those more aggressive decks. The other flip side of the sideboard is more Inquisitions and the full 4th Fulminator Mage, and that's essentially for any deck that's trying to be greedy with their mana base. So 4-color Jund, Tron. It's even decent against Robots because they have so few lands, and their best threats against you are their lands. their Blink Moth and Ink Moth, and it solves that problem nicely. It's okay against the pod decks. In addition, with your creature removal, you can sometimes stumble them on color. But if they get ahead with a few mana guys, then Fulminator Mage looks pretty bad there. That's where the discard is better against them. So that's pretty much it. The sideboard essentially goes two directions, either fighting people's mana base or solving the aggressive matchup. That's about it. We'll see how we do today.